1. Writing is a means to communicate complex emotions or concepts through words. As a means of communication, writing has existed for a long time. It has been a means by which we register or record happenings as well. Writing has become an inseparable part of human existence and continues to play a role in society even to this day. Writing is a mode of human communication representing language and emotion through the inscription or recording of signs and symbols. Writing is more than a means of correspondence. It can be used to relay emotions otherwise hidden by plain words. Writing is a powerful tool. It connects the writer and the readers regardless of how many times they read the same story. The creative side of writing is known primarily as literary writing. It is the creation of new literary work, which includes poetry, novels, short stories, etc. The compilation of these works is a part of the writing process as well. A writer then can transfer emotions via the use of literary works while telling a relatable story. A writer must be skilled in the art of avid storytelling and must communicate with the reader as the story progresses. While there is much needed qualification and training before one can be genuinely abreast of the intricacies of the art of writing, it is pretty easy to write without them. This statement is not to water down the importance of education, but to shine a light on the gift of writing. Stephen King is a prime example of this. Although he earned his degree in English, King was already a gifted writer, penning articles before turning 16. A good writer writes. A great writer reads other writers' works. King insists that each individual has some writing talent and can be just as successful through training and practice. This statement holds for many self-taught writers who today reap the rewards of tinkering with their gifts. King was an avid reader growing up. He always got lost in one book or the other. The habit he had formed was instrumental in his thirst to create stories of his own. In the following chapters, readers can gain valuable insight on the writing craft, the pitfalls, and how to come out on top. King brings to the forefront the important aspects and goals involved in writing and how to properly source inspiration. Chapter 2. It is vital to create and adhere to a strict writing schedule. Writing is more than just the act of piecing words together. It is more profound than that, and as such, requires more seriousness from the writer. Writing is an art. Simply put, it is on par with the manifestations of ballet or synchronized swimming. The harmony that those two activities possess is down to one key feature: practice. Without practice, there would be no art. Writing is an art form, and as such, requires discipline and dedication to execute it properly. Regardless of how gifted the writer is, they'll remain mediocre and never grow if they do not practice. Some see writing as something you can get up and do without prior preparation or effort. Even improved work feeds off a store of saved-up information in the brain. This rule applies to writing as well. When you practice, you get better, and your creative process sharpens. Without practice, mastery is impossible. So, if you wish to be good at writing, you must practice. So now, for an intending writer, how often should they write if they want to be successful? The answer is you must write every chance you get. The art of writing is akin to breathing. If the writer must live, they must write. This practice is what ensures the writer is constantly churning stories in their head in anticipation. If you liken writing to a sport, you can see that athletes must perfect their moves. Writing is a craft, and for all skills, there are techniques and rules to guide. But a gift is only perfected through doing. Intending writers often want to attend classes first or take lessons on writing. They want to watch someone else detail the workings of the writing trade, but this isn't always effective. The words of Aristotle echo this truth. For the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. A good writer continues to put in the work to perfect their craft. Writers can create a schedule that helps center their minds and give them better focus to practice. King suggests practicing or writing every day. This helps create a strict regimen that tasks the mind to get even more productive every time. Did you know? Stephen King's house is a tourist attraction. Chapter 3. The location we choose to situate ourselves when we write is an integral part of the process. While it is essential to write freely and promptly, the location where said writing gets done is also critical. The scenery we pick to be surrounded by when writing is a vital part of the writing process. It can even act as an inspiration. Stephen King uses an example to explain this. He says to put your desk in the corner, and every time you sit down there to write, ask yourself why it wasn't placed in the middle of the room. Life isn't a support system for art, it's the other way around. Choosing where to write is as important as writing itself. It helps frame the mindset. This statement means we must turn to art to give solace to the harsh realities of life. It also means challenging your mind to make a deep, honest inquiry into your life and why it is the way it is. Do you want it? Can it be better? And can you find a solution to it? This line of thinking acts as a prompt to help focus your thoughts on one thing and build from there. We must find a space that not only brings us calm, but challenges our minds to think. There's also another saying that life imitates art, which means much of life gets represented in art. By this logic, writing should mirror our reality or a perceived reality we create. The environment in which you write, whether mental or physical, plays a massive role in the works we churn out at the end of the day. If you seek unbridled creativity, then you can pick a spot or mindset that challenges your mind to go into overdrive. Your surroundings or situation can be a significant influence on your writing as well. Sometimes you don't have to pick. It can be chosen for you by life's chaotic design. For King, a desire to exit poverty forced him into creative overload. He was focused on creating a much better life than the one he had for himself and his family. This form of inspiration is usually quite common and can be very reliable. Considering the state of your life can be a table in the corner of the room to ponder over. Did you know? King prefers to write on paper with a fountain pen. Chapter 4. Writing is much easier if you know just how to do it. There are many things to consider when we talk of writing. Each of them is important. But while the time and place we write are vital, it would mean little if we did not know how to write. King's works speak for themselves and, as such, make him a certified teacher in the art. Knowing when to write isn't half as important as knowing how to write. It is the foundation of the craft. In what most expected to be a biography, King manages to chip in instruction for writers who intend to follow in his footsteps and be successful. If you ask any professional, they'll tell you that knowing how to do something is the first step to getting good at it. If you internalize the steps needed and make them a part of your routine, the results are often remarkable. For any craft to get proper execution, guidelines must exist to instruct intended practitioners. King lays down a ton of advice on how to write. Here are a few tips that will most definitely help improve your writing endeavor. Don't try to dress up your vocabulary with unnecessarily long words because you want to sound smart. The best words are the simple ones. The first word that comes to mind when you write is often the best to go with. Always remember to pair your nouns with verbs. The noun-verb structure is an essential part of writing. Avoid passive verb tense usage. You are safer using active verbs. The adverb is a cruel friend. Do not trust it and use it lightly. Read and write often. There is no other shortcut to writing. When you pick books to read, please pay more attention to the bad ones. They help with things you can avoid or improve. When you start a project, follow through. Don't take breaks until you're done. If you wish to employ description in your writing, make sure that it makes as much sense to the readers as it did to you, preferably more for the former. When writing, it is essential to have a filter for what is critical and what makes the work look good. A good piece of fiction always begins with a story before the theme emerges, and not the other way around. Don't cage yourself by selecting a theme before creating the story. Writing is about touching lives and inspiring people to dream, not about financial gain. Amateurs sit and wait for inspiration. The rest of us just get up and go to work. Stephen King, Chapter 5. The audience you are writing for plays a massive role in the creative process. Art exists to be appreciated, digested, and consumed. That means, without an audience, art loses its value. For writers, without readers, they write in vain. It is essential that as you create art, you consider the audience receiving your work. The target audience is an integral part of the whole process and forms the basis for your fan base. Without readers, there is no reason to write. Art is created to be appreciated. Your work must be tailored to suit the intended recipient audience. If you want to reach a specific audience, your work needs to have just one central theme, one that appeals to a demographic or occurrence. This way, it's easy to create art knowing full well who and what it should cater to. Monothematic writing is a trusted and safe approach and helps build a niche for oneself, but often leads to feelings of being limited and redundant. King suggests that writers first pick a story and then work a theme into it to avoid this. Sticking to one theme or style can be restrictive. Only opt for it if you aim to reach a specific group of readers. Even though you wish to attract one group of people, with the theme in the story, the work of art itself will draw attention from curious readers. Since sometimes the audience determines the art, it can be beneficial to stick to the style or theme you are best known for, not to alienate your core fan base. Isolating your fan base means fewer sales and low reception for any other works you'll release. The choice of language in your works must align with the target audience so as not to alienate them. Knowing your audience is also crucial in your work context. This way, you know just what tone or language to employ. As mentioned earlier, King believes that using complex words or phrases is pointless if you cannot communicate with your audience. The best advice, then, is to keep it as simple as possible and avoid making your work a tiring task. Communication is the basis of writing, and as such, it must be done correctly. Description begins in the writer's imagination, but should finish in the reader's. Stephen King, Chapter 6. It is crucial to write not for superficial gains, but for the benefit of the readers. Most people believe that writing is done to enrich oneself or get fame or even land chicks. Stephen King recognizes that these are the many distractions that plague the mind of the budding writer wanting to skyrocket to stardom overnight. Some writers believe that writing will solve their financial woes, while some want to travel the globe signing books and meeting fans. It is essential to find the right reasons to make art create timeless works. King argues that these are all wrong reasons to write, insisting that they are superficial and empty inspirations for the craft. So, why should we write? There needs to be a reason for writing that won't fade after a while. It is essential to base it on things that are both intangible and unchanging concerning time or trends. As an artist, you should aim to make your work remain timeless and influential long after it was released. It is important that the motivation behind writing is to impart and inspire lives and not just make a quick buck. This statement means that writing isn't about money. Money will come regardless. If you choose to focus on money, it will lead you to forcing a style or milking a story to get more profits. The allure of money can derail the creative process and ultimately affect the quality of the work. Writers like this end up producing works considered cash grabs, made solely for monetary reasons and not artistic ones. Writing should be done for the betterment of the readers, inspiring them to feel and do better. In the end, writing is mainly about a few things. Enriching the lives of individuals who will read your work. You can change lives and inspire others to, in turn, improve others. Increasing your own life, not in financial terms, but in the idea that art is an expression, and the experience refines you and makes you better. Getting up, staying up, and getting over. Writing is an endless journey of self-discovery and improvement. Getting happy. Ultimately, writing, as with all forms of art, aims to create happiness in others and yourself. Conclusion. Writing is an ancient means of communication among humans. It has helped relay the most complex emotions from person to person. As an art form, it continues to do this and allows an author to pass across a message without fail to expectant readers. However, to gain mastery of the art of writing requires two essential things: reading and writing. There's a lot of reading and writing involved in the process of becoming a writer. First, you must read the works of other, more experienced writers. Doing this will sharpen your mind and create the hunger to write stories of your own. It is also essential to practice writing. Frequent exercises in writing are the surest way to gain mastery of the art. As important as it is to practice, it is pertinent that a strict practice schedule gets established. This helps create a system and cultivates discipline. If you wish to write better, you must pay attention to your chosen location. The scenery can play a role in either inspiring or stifling the creative process. There are rules of engagement for every art form, and writing is no different. It is crucial to adhere to these rules if you wish to learn how to write correctly. Finally, a writer must recognize their audience and speak directly to them with words and phrases they can understand. It is lazy and unintelligent to rely on big words to make your writing seem profound. Your goal, as an artist, is to touch lives with your works. Let that be the driving force when you write. Try this. Write any piece of literature. Start simple and add more pages as you go, as long as it doesn't take away from the context.